Rory didn't speak to me once the whole week. That's Bryson DeChambeau, publicly calling out Rory McIlroy after the 2025 Masters. But Rory's brutal response? I don't know what he was expecting. We're trying to win the Masters. Behind this icy exchange is years of golf's LIV civil war exploding into the open. This is the moment when golf's divide got personal and everything changed. But what pushed these rivals from private tension to public fire? Let's break down how Rory McIlroy fired back at LIV Golf and why the consequences will echo far beyond Augusta. In 2022, Rory McIlroy stood at the center of golf's storm, swinging harder in the press room than on the course. LIV Golf was the new disruptor, and Rory made his stance clear. Anyone leaving for the Saudi-backed league was, in his words, a sellout. He didn't bother with niceties. He called out former friends, accused them of chasing cash over legacy, and warned the next generation that joining LIV meant turning their backs on history. I just don't see the value in it. I think it's just a money grab, Rory told reporters that summer, echoing what many traditionalists wanted to hear. The fans and media crowned him the conscience of the PGA Tour, the man who would not bend. But golf's landscape shifted beneath his feet. LIV survived its first chaotic years. Lawsuits dragged on. By 2024, with the sport fracturing and negotiations dragging into the open, Rory's tone softened, just a little. In a rare moment of self-reflection, he admitted, "I was probably too judgmental about the players who left." He even acknowledged that LIV had exposed flaws in how the PGA Tour was run. It wasn't a full reversal, but the edge dulled. Still, he didn't let go of the consequences. When LIV defectors missed out on the Paris Olympics, Rory's response carried the same old steel. Everyone knew the consequences going in. The message was clear. Choices have costs, and sympathy only goes so far. Through it all, Rory's public image shifted from firebrand to something more complicated. He'd built his reputation on moral high ground, but now cracks were showing. For rivals like Bryson DeChambeau, this new tone looked like an opening, a chance for old bridges to be rebuilt. But as Masters Week would prove, not every thaw means a welcome. The line between forgiveness and focus was about to be tested. Early 2025 brought a new kind of message from Rory McIlroy, one that sounded, at least on the surface, like a call for peace. He told reporters, "We absolutely need to come together for the good of the sport. Enough with the division, it's time to move forward." The headlines ran with it. McIlroy, once the face of golf's civil war, now urging a ceasefire. But behind the public olive branch, Rory drew his lines sharper than ever. He made it clear that unity was about the business of golf, not about rekindling old friendships. In interview after interview, he repeated the same refrain. It's not personal, but there have to be consequences for those decisions. When asked about LIV players returning to the fold, he didn't flinch. Everyone knew the consequences going in. The message was unmistakable. You could negotiate deals, share a locker room, maybe even lift a trophy together, but don't expect a seat at his table just because the cameras are rolling. Rory's approach set a new tone for the sport. He could shake hands with rivals at the boardroom table, but when it came to competition, he kept his circle tight and his focus tighter. Even as he advocated for a reunified tour and praised the financial changes LIV had forced, he refused to blur the line between professional collaboration and personal connection. For players like Bryson DeChambeau, who once shared laughs with Rory in locker rooms, the new reality was cold and unmistakable. Detente was on offer, but only on Rory's terms. Business first, boundaries always. That contradiction, preaching unity while enforcing distance, would soon explode onto golf's biggest stage. Bryson DeChambeau didn't wait long after the final putt dropped at Augusta. Standing in front of the microphones, still wearing his runner-up badge, he let it fly. "Rory didn't speak to me once the entire week. Not a nod, not a word, not even the usual good luck on the first tee." He sounded more baffled than bitter, as if the silence itself was the real insult. Masters Week is supposed to be sacred ground. Rivals keep things professional, but there's always a handshake, a quick exchange, a sign that beneath the pressure, respect still exists. Bryson's complaint shattered that code. He didn't just vent in the locker room, he went straight to ESPN, then doubled down in a YouTube clip. "He wouldn't talk to me." Within minutes, golf Twitter was ablaze. Some called him soft, others said he had a point. Wasn't this supposed to be the new era of unity? The timing couldn't have been sharper. Rory had just slipped on the green jacket, completing the career Grand Slam, while Bryson was left explaining why his old friend had frozen him out. The story didn't stay in the clubhouse. It exploded into headlines, debate shows, and a viral hashtag war. Bryson's words turned a private snub into public spectacle, teeing up a response that would land even harder. Rory McIlroy stood on the 18th green at Augusta with the green jacket finally draped across his shoulders. The echoes of Bryson DeChambeau's complaints were still bouncing through the press tent, but Rory barely blinked. When the microphones turned his way, he didn't flinch or offer a half-hearted apology. Instead, he delivered the kind of answer only a champion can get away with. I don't know what he was expecting. We're trying to win the Masters. No anger, no drama, just an icy reminder that at the highest level, focus is the only currency that matters. That silence wasn't a slip or a snub. It was a statement. For Rory, the Masters wasn't a reunion tour or a therapy session. It was unfinished business. Completing the career Grand Slam put him in a club so exclusive it barely needs a handshake. The final round with Bryson was two men chasing history, but only one had the nerve to tune out everything else. Not a word exchanged, not even a nod, just the grind, shot after shot, until the playoff was over and the trophy was his. When pressed about the cold shoulder, Rory didn't backtrack. It wasn't personal. Total competitive focus, he said later. The message landed with the weight of a major. This is what greatness looks like. For anyone expecting warmth, the green jacket was answer enough. The media frenzy hit full throttle before the Masters trophy even cooled. Bryson's complaint about Rory's silence launched a hashtag war. Hashtag Team Rory and hashtag Team Bryson battled for days, each side armed with memes and hot takes. Sports talk shows ran with the drama, slicing it every which way. Headlines screamed, "Champion or cold-hearted?" and "Is Rory the new villain?" Pundits like Johnson Wagner didn't hold back, blasting Rory on live TV for preaching unity while icing out a rival. Wagner's rant, clipped and shared thousands of times, accused Rory of trying to control the merger narrative and called his "get over it" message tone-deaf. Meanwhile, social feeds split down the middle. Some fans cheered Rory's killer instinct, others called him a hypocrite. The noise got so loud that the players themselves faded into the background. Their every word spun into a new round of outrage or applause. The story no longer belonged to Rory or Bryson, it belonged to the crowd. Rory McIlroy's words on the 18th green weren't just about the Masters, they echoed straight into golf's boardrooms. When he followed up with, "I'm not going to try to be his best mate out there," it wasn't a throwaway line. That attitude shaped how he handled the merger talks behind closed doors. As a central figure in the PGA and PIF negotiations, Rory carried the same boundaries into every meeting. He pushed for unity, but insisted that returning LIV players couldn't simply erase the past, especially when it came to Ryder Cup leadership. Official committee reports show new eligibility criteria for European captains, a move publicly supported by Rory and echoed in his interviews. They made their choices. His stance put pressure on decision-makers, making it clear that professional respect didn't guarantee personal forgiveness or restored privileges. In the end, the silence with Bryson wasn't just personal, it was policy. Rory's cold shoulder on the course became the template for how the sport would handle its deepest divides. On April 14, 2025, Rory McIlroy completed the career Grand Slam and dismissed Bryson DeChambeau's public complaint with the line, "I'm trying to win the Masters." This moment, captured in press transcripts and leaderboard records, marked the climax of years of shifting statements, from McIlroy's 2022 sellouts accusation to his 2025 calls for unity under strict conditions. The evidence shows McIlroy has not softened on Ryder Cup captaincies or automatic privileges for LIV players, even as he pushes for broader cooperation between tours. What remains unknown is whether this level of professional detachment can truly heal golf's divides or merely paper over deeper resentments. For now, McIlroy's approach, businesslike, uncompromising, and anchored in historic victory, has redefined the boundaries of unity in the sport. The 2025 Masters stands as the turning point when golf's new era of coexistence was set, not by words, but by actions on the game's biggest stage.